All right, we are live, and somebody just mailed me a nickel via email. Wow, my nails are long. To cut my nails. All right, cool. Let's go to Grok. What are we feeling today? I found about this interesting company, Valar Atomics. Let's learn about Valar. So this is the founder, Isai Isaiah, right? And they recently had a launch. They had an interesting launch, and we need to know what exactly is happening. But okay. Company focused on revolutionizing energy production by leveraging nuclear fission to create synthetic carbon neutral hydrocarbon fuels. Founded by Isaiah Taylor, a self taught entrepreneur who dropped out of high school at 16, the company aims to mass produce. Wow. Self taught entrepreneur who dropped out of high school at 16, the company aims to mass produce small modular nuclear reactors based on high temperature gas reactor technology. Unlike traditional nuclear power plants that generate electricity for the grid, Valar Atomics targets the production of hydrocarbons like jet fuel, diesel, and gasoline, using nuclear heat to drive processes like the sulfur iodine cycle for hydrogen production, which is then combined with captured CO2 to synthesize fuels. The report centers on building gigasites, large scale facilities where hundreds or thousands of standardized reactors are deployed to achieve economies of scale, driving down cost. This grid independent model focuses on supplying energy intensive industries such as data centers, steel production, and hydrogen facilities, directly bypassing the limitations of electricity distribution. The reactors use TRISO, tristructural isotopic fuel, noted for its safety and proliferation resistance, though it generates more nuclear waste than conventional fuels. Waste, Valor claims, is well contained. Emerged from stealth early 25 with 19 million in seed funding led by Riot Ventures and others to develop its first test reactor. The company has also secured a research contract with Philippines Nuclear Research Institute for advanced nuclear project. Taylor's vision is bold: to make energy 10 times cheaper within a decade by tapping into the global hydrocarbon market, which he sees as more capable and lucrative than electricity due to existing infrastructure and demand. The concept flips the traditional nuclear playbook. Rather than fighting regulatory and market friction in electricity sector, compete in the $1 trillion hydrocarbon market with clean, cost-competitive alternative. It's an ambitious engineering challenge, but if successful, it could reshape energy economics. Critics, however, point to the high cost of waste concerns of SMR, though Valor argues its scale and focus on fuels address these hurdles differently. Okay, let's go back again to the technology. It is mass produced small modular nuclear reactors based on high temperature gas reactor technology. Targets the production of hydrocarbon like jet fuel, diesel, and gasoline using nuclear heat to drive processes like the sulfur iodine cycle for hydrogen production, which is then combined with captured CO2 to synthesize fuels. Okay. Valor is my master plan to make energy 10x cheaper in 10 years by pulling oil and gas out of thin air with nuclear fission.
Sort of dark horse. It's always been this like, what if we could just make energy way cheaper? Because the economics of it are crazy, right? Like, you know, the economics are insane. $1 green turns to like $48,000 electricity. Like, the calculator is enormous. And so this dark horse is always on the horizon, but it just has the wrong market. That's all about. Like, all the other companies trying to pursue that, I just think they have the wrong market. Electricity is a terrible product at the end of the day. So I think the thing that's really exciting is like we get to actually ride that dark horse into the city, but we're gonna ride it on the back of hydrocarbons, not electricity. All right, guys, bang bang. I've got Isaiah here with me. I thought a great place to start is just let's go right to your website. You guys obviously put this on your website because this speaks to who you are and what you guys are building. On your website, the first thing people see is it says engineers wanted. We're building a company by solving one of the hardest problems in physics, using a historically unpopular fuel within a very short timeline. Not to mention tackling complex manufacturing and creating an unproven commodities market along the way. The odds are against us, but we wouldn't have it any other way. What are you doing? That sounds like a death mission. What are you doing, and why is it so important? Yeah, I mean, some of the best missions in the world have been death missions. So, no, I think we're going to win, though. It's definitely a hard challenge, but I think we're going to win. So, what we're doing is going to sound pretty counterintuitive, but we are creating jet fuel and other hydrocarbons, and we're creating them out of thin air. So, this is strange, but all of the ingredients were jet fuel and diesel.
This is very interesting. Okay, so they're using nuclear fission to basically create jet fuel. They're creating fuel from thin air using nuclear fission.
Gasoline and methane and all hydrocarbons are already in the air, right? So the ingredients are hydrogen and carbon. That's what makes up hydrocarbon. And you can get the carbon from CO2 in the air. You can get get the hydrogen from water. And so, yeah, we are literally making jet fuel out of thin air. In order to do that, you need an energy source, though, because this is a hydrocarbon is an energetic molecule in the sense that because there's oxygen throughout the atmosphere and there's hydrogen, you have like a high potential energy state. And so, in order to get back to a hydrocarbon, you need a lot of energy from somewhere. And for us, that energy source is nuclear fission. So that's where the unpopular fuel source comes from. It's both like an unpopular source, which is nuclear, and then also an unpopular product, which is jet fuel. But we love that matchup. It's very, very counterintuitive, very contrarian, and at the end of the day, I think it'll make us all trillionaires. So yeah, we're happy with it. Let's go to
We'll make us trillionaires.
go first, taking the air in. Walk through that process specifically. Like, do you just have a big fan that, like, rather than blow out, is like sucking in a bunch of air and going into like a product that you built, or how does it work? Yeah, so carbon capture, there's a bunch of ways to do it. We'll probably use calcium based. So basically, how this works.
I love, by the way, Anthony Pompliano's setup, because I wish I could just put my book somewhere over here behind me.
Process of calcium will sort of bond to the CO2 in the air, and it'll form another compound. And
Okay, now we're getting the technicalities. Technicalities are better understood if we just look at things. That would be better. Okay. Atomic energy is still in its infancy. Alright, this looks cool. What is this? This looks like nuclear. Yeah, what is it? Are they nuclear bombs? Atomic energy is still in its infancy. Fewer than 100,000 nuclear reactors have ever been built. The limit of cost reduction by mass producing is still unknown. The trick is to connect mass production with a business model that allows you to scale. That's where atomics. Atomic energy is still in its infancy. Fewer than 1,000 nuclear reactors have ever been built. The limit of cost reduction by mass producing is still unknown. We'll definitely meet a high bar of compliance, and that will always mean paperwork, but like everything, the more you do it, the better you get at it. What type of reactors are you building? HTGR, safety and simplicity to build. Step 1, decide to build them all alike. Step 2, build a prefab reactor factory. Step 3, deploy them all on the same site to share site cost and sell the energy in chemical form. What exactly is Valar Atomics trying to do? What's the story? After a nice long talk with some of the engineers at the launch party, I think I can clear up some confusion. What is a nuclear reactor? A nuclear reactor is a bunch of radioactive material refined into concentrated form and piled up in heap. When you concentrate it like that, it irradiates itself, accelerating its natural rate of decay. This makes it release a lot of radiation and get really hot. That's all it is. Okay? A nuclear reactor is a bunch of radioactive material refined into concentrated form and piled up in heap. When you concentrate it like that, it radiates itself, accelerating its natural rate of decay. This makes it release a lot of radiation and get really hot. That's all it is. Now, typically you want some other things like shielding so it doesn't irradiate you, and control rods that absorb radiation so it doesn't get too hot and melt through the shielding and irradiate you. Oh wow, this is a very good explanation. Very simple explanation. Thank you, Devin Erickson. Devin Erickson. Hey, really cool how you explained how nuclear reactors work. Perfect. Let's go back. And we're here. But those are details. It's really just a pile of rocks that get hot by themselves. So how is that useful? Well, if you have heat, you can use it for anything you can use heat for. You could heat your home with it if you're brave. You could cook with it. You could use it to iron your shirt. Heat as heat. What you typically do is boil water with it, make steam, and run an electric generator off the steam pressure to get electricity, which is a very convenient form to have your energy in, since you can send it to all sorts of places through a set of wires, turn it into movement, store it in batteries, and so on. Nuclear pile plus thermal steam generator is equal to radiothermal steam generator. It's really cool. Very simple how he explained it. Just like put a bunch of rocks that radiate heat into on a heap. Now they will radiate because that's what they do, and that radiation generates heat. Now, what do you do with that heat? You take that heat, boil water, and with that boiled water, you generate heat, steam, and with that steam, you start turning a turbine, and as you turn that turbine, that generates electricity, and now you spread electricity all over. It's why my home in rural Tennessee always has plenty of power, even when the nationwide grid has a seizure. It's also why people think of nuclear reactors really a misnomer for a radiothermal steam generator. And picture those big hourglass shaped cooling towers. Those are actually part of the thermal steam generator, not the nuclear pile. But you can also do something else with heat. You can use heat to drive lots of different chemical reaction. This is just like using heat to cook your food. In fact, cooking isn't just like this, it is this, making chemicals into different chemicals with heat. But if you want to pay for your expensive atomic heat box, you're going to need to do something more profitable than grilled steaks with it. So what do you cook with a nuclear heat source? Fuel. You cook fuel. Turns out that if you have sulfuric acid, iodine, and enough heat, you can split water into hydrogen and oxygen, and you can reuse your sulfuric acid and iodine. This is something we already know how to do. Compress into liquids, hydrogen and oxygen are rocket fuel. But you don't have to stop there. If you have hydrogen, which you just made, and carbon monoxide, which we make all the time and kind of want to get rid of, an iron or cobalt catalyst and enough heat, you can make a mixture of long chain hydrocarbons, which you can refine into fuel just as if it were crude oil, except it's a lot less crude and needs a lot less refining. Turns out we already know how to do this too. So why hydrocarbon fuels? Because we already know how to make them. The only reason we are drilling them out of the ground is that it's cheaper that way. Gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel are things the world already has a demand for, and you can sell them to just about anyone. They are liquid energy, which means they might as well be liquid money because energy is always in demand. Furthermore, if people fuss about carbon emissions, you can take your carbon monoxide from human emission sources, meaning that when you burn these synthesized fuels, you are just putting back into air the same carbon you took out, which doesn't actually make you carbon neutral because if you are capturing the carbon monoxide at the source, then it might have been captured in other ways. But hippie communists obsessed with carbon emissions probably aren't smart enough to parse that distinction. Anyway, jet fuel isn't getting replaced with batteries anytime soon. It's something you can sell and continue to sell and become profitable quickly. So, what did Mr. Taylor and his team actually invent? Zip, zero, nilch, nada, nothing? This idea is nothing but a mashup, a chain of existing technologies glued together, which kind of makes sense given their 15-month timetable. Gluing known ideas together is much quicker and easier than greenfield development of new tech from scratch, but the devil is in the details. And any engineer of any type will tell you heatedly and at volume that even gluing existing tech together is tough and requires the development of a lot of customized glue, which explains what the patents are for. Inventing nothing and just gluing shit together is actually a hell of a lot of work if you're doing it in hardware instead of software. So, from a certain other perspective, they had to invent a lot of smaller, less exciting things to fit these known processes together. That's what's in those boxes in the photos. So, what are those three big boxes in the picture then? Well, none of them is actually an unshielded nuclear pile. If it was, I wouldn't have gone and stood near it. Instead, one is the shell of a nuclear reactor with a really powerful giant electric heater inside. Instead, one is the shell of a nuclear reactor with a really powerful giant electric heater inside. It's meant to simulate the radiothermal output without all the pesky shielding and safety protocols. The second one is a chemical refinery designed to take that heat and cook hydrocarbons from it. The third is a mock-up control room, which is a bit over dramatized because you could possibly run the whole thing from a laptop and don't actually need a module with big chairs complete with seat belts for some reason. Mock-up control room. Not to mention that I don't want any nuclear cores controlled by something running Windows, but essentially it's a setup to allow the development and testing of the synthesis process without actually having to go nuclear. It's called Ward Zero, and it's their test trick. This isn't weird at all. It's a standard sort of thing that engineers do when we engineer stuff. So does it work? Could it be a scam? My dude, anything could be a scam. Anything that can be done can be faked. We did not fire the machine up and make jet fuel in the middle of a cocktail party to prove it works. Nor did I bring in representatives from Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory and the James Randi Foundation to test for funny business. I saw boxes with pipes in them, that's all. I'm not here to tell you whether the machines work or whether the company can be profitable. I'm here to tell you what the story is and whether something based on this idea could work. What I can tell you is that this story holds together and does not contain any readily apparent nonsense. Such a process could indeed work, and if it works, the business would indeed have something to sell. By my estimates, aviation fuel represents about 30% of the operating cost of most airlines, with a total market cap of around $200 billion per year at about $2.07 per gallon. Undercut that, and you can sell as much as you can make. It's an existing product with existing demand and existing infrastructure, but that doesn't mean it's a slam dunk. So, what are the potential obstacles and hazards? First, if you're running a nuclear anything, the local government is going to take an interest in you. And regulators can easily shut you down for good reasons, bad reasons, and no reasons at all. The current administration, at least in the United States, seems unlikely to be hostile to the basic idea. But the state can be a funny beast sometimes and is not entirely under anyone's control. One of the particular objections might be that you have small modular boxes lying around filled with radioactive stuff. This particular brand of radioactive stuff isn't really suitable for making atomic weapons. But once you run the reactor a while, it does become suitable for polluting areas with nasty radiation. It can be weaponized for that purpose. Dirty bombs made with powdered radioactive waste and high explosives actually aren't very good weapons at all for warfare. You can kill more people quicker with more conventional means, but they are very good for scaring people. And there's a reason we have a war for someone who uses fear to try to influence the political process via maximally scary attacks on civilian populations. There would there would need to be some plan to secure the nuclear material involved, and that incurs cost and regulatory risk in addition to those of running a reactor at all. Second, when you are making jet fuel and such, you'd better be able to do so at below the market rates you can sell it at, which means the plan is vulnerable not only to unexpected costs encountered in the production model but to fluctuations in the fuel market. Just how vulnerable depends on how much the basic plan beats current drilling and refining pathways by. There could be a lot of wiggle room or just a little. I don't know, and I'll let Isaiah handle questions like that if he wants to weigh in. Third, there's a whole lot of standard risk to starting a business of any kind. Many perfectly sound businesses with perfectly sound plans have simply run out of funding before they could become profitable. Risk is ever present. There's no such thing as a guaranteed return. All I can tell you about Valar or about any other hard tech startup is whether the basic story checks out. If the basic story checks out, then success is theoretically possible. Is this the case with Valar Atomics? I think this was very interesting. Move with the speed of physics, something that Balaji said in special Elon zones, such as Star, Star Starbase in Texas. Yeah, can you move at the speed of physics? Can you theoretically do it? You can do it. Theoretically, this could work. Would Devin Erickson invest his own money? Ha! What money? Even spare dollar I have is being invested in my own business. I don't get invited to fancy launch parties because I'm wealthy. I'm not. I get invited because I can impress wealthy people with my ability to explain stuff clearly and make it interesting. And if you're asking for investment advice from me, then friend, you are in big trouble already. And if you really want to hear my assessment, the risks are significant and hard to quantify, but the basic story checks out, and the upside potential is, well, significant. Because if you do it at scale, you can disrupt the whole oil and gas industry that's worth a groat or two. Real players and smart people who watch them carefully know that most startup investments will lose money, and that the real trick is to the spread your nets wide enough to catch the ones that pay off so well that they pay for the rest. Hogs get slaughtered, but so do chickens. What? This is also funny, where he's like, What's the first module for? What's the second one for? Yeah. So what are those three big boxes in the picture then? Okay. Well, none of them is actually an unshielded nuclear pile. If it was, I wouldn't have gone and stood near it. Instead, what is this shell? Okay, that was funny. Hey, really good find. Devin Erickson, Valor Atomics. 26-year-old built a functional nuclear thermal prototype in 15 months, and you think you can't have cheap, clean energy. Congrats, Isaiah and the entire team. That's some beautiful Triso right there. This is a really good thread. Really good thread. Okay. And Devin is a science fiction author. Theft of Fire. The era of whining is over and humanity is going places again. So strap it into an acceleration chair and slap on a high G stim patch. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Sci-fi author, engineer, sharpshooter, part-time Damon Prince of Zine Tech. Not a cat. DevinErickson.com. Audiobook coming soon. Okay. Alright, we are back to Whaler. Valar. Alright, let's see. What else we got? Great post. I'll be very bullish on nuclear in general and Whaler in particular if it weren't for brilliant light powers, hydrino based technology with renders all other power sources obsolete. Light power story. One additional virtue is that sitting is less of a concern because unlike an electricity generating reactor, there's no need to connect to the grid, so reactors can be located in extremely remote areas. There's a mini fission reactor being built by Valar Atomics. I got to see it last night, blown away. That's a different language. I cannot read that. Okay. Interesting. Now, Isaiah, let's look at Isaiah's. Yeah, what is this? Valar Atomics, this looks like a Dune kind of futuristic concept. Okay. We got Isaiah over here. Isaiah dropped out when he was 16, making nuclear reactors which generate clean, low cost hydrocarbon fuels. Senior machinist, California, senior thermal hydraulics engineer. Meet the hiring team. Synthesize liquid carbon fuels using process heat from nuclear fission, unlocking the potential of fission to make abundant carbon neutral energy. We are hiring a thermal hydraulics engineer to design all aspects of a reactor, cooling, and process heat system from compressors and valves to heat exchangers. Thermal hydraulics engineer. This is really cool. Like, these really, like, a lot of people started saying that, hey, if kids are making so much money from all these software coding jobs, why would they go study chemical engineering, civil engineering, stuff like that? But it's really cool. Like with Valar Atomics, what they are doing, these types of jobs are getting back into back into mainstream. A PhD with industry experience is helpful, but we will consider candidates with any level of education and experience. Desire to make a future where energy is clean and abundant. Full time position, LA area. Last 10 months in 2 minutes. This is beautiful. A lot of people working on this crazy vision. Beautiful. Beautiful. Last 10 months in 2 minutes. Well done. I'll always admit when I'm wrong in respect to all the progress. Your hardware design reminds me of Tron Legacy. Paints a picture of engineering that my students and most youth dream of, being part of innovative, hands-on and pushing boundaries. Amazing work. Today's installment of The Real California. Whoa. What is this? This is drilling, right? 1, 2, 3. What do we have? What are we looking at? Wow. Oh, Steph. Steph Smith. Yes, that is Steph Smith. Okay, do I know anybody else in this picture? That's really cool. Like, Steph Smith, hey, this is a great job. Like, when you're part of A16Z, you get to be part of these amazing founders circle over here. Do I know anyone else? No. This is really cool. Really cool. Okay. Big energy in the room today. Thrive Capital, Stanford, Emergent Ventures. We are literally cooking up the 101. Are these all Valor employees. By the way, this photo is really cool. It's a little bit blurry. That gives you the effect. Drive faster, the party starting. Dudes are currently rocking. The vibe has shifted. We are so back. America is back. Our defense is insurmountable. Our energy, free, industry, brewing, weather, controlled. I've seen very few photos where I could smell the testosterone. I guess I'll go to the gym again. I love your optimism. Hey, really cool. Do you work? Oh, Rainmaker. Okay. Augustus. Oh. Augustus controlling the weather. Apply to work as forward deployed engineer. Wow. Crazy photo. Augustus. Crazy photo. Let's go. Gundo. What's Gundo? I have no idea. Gundo bonfire 8:30 p.m. tonight and Dockweiler Beach. We are so back. I quickly want to see Rainmaker. Wow, Rainmaker. What a crazy logo. What a crazy logo. The British Racing Green color. Rainmaker Technology Corporation. MakeRain.com. Wow, 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 wow. Look at this. Wow. I just don't like this button, except that everything is beautiful. What is this? Wow. Okay. Rainmaker. Beautiful website. Making Earth habitable. Rainmaker provides waterfall farms, watersheds, and ecosystems, fortifying growth and stewarding the natural world. Increasing global consumption and changing climate patterns are accelerating the depletion of freshwater resources. Humanity is responsible for protecting the vitality of the natural world and civilization. Rainmaker's precipitation enhancement technology is the only immediate, scalable solution to create abundant fresh water. Abundance is the answer. Wow. What is this? Hey, really cool. Really cool. Abundance is the answer. Alright, let's put this on. Really cool. When you design something, when you are working on a crazy technology, rainmaker.com, and what was on Twitter? On Twitter they had makerain.com. Makerain.com. Really cool. Really cool. Solving your water problem. Rainmaker increases precipitation to support agriculture, maintain water supplies. Yeah, this logo is beautiful. Our system can also decrease the severity of storms, fog, and aircraft icing. Keep growing, supply utilities, mitigate storms, restore ecosystems, the frontier of precipitation enhancement. This is like, this definitely feels like AI generated. This definitely is, I don't know, this feels like AI generated. This feels like we're just sitting on Discord in the, what's the thing, Midjourney Discord, and they're just like trying to fix everything and be like, hey, no, make it look like medieval painting. No, make it look like Vincent van Gogh. Make it look like whatever, Matthias. Rainmaker is pioneering a modern precipitation enhancement system. We develop, incorporate radar validation, weather resistant drones, numerical weather modeling, and sustainable cloud seeds into an effective water resource solution. Rainmaker presents a new synthesis of technological development and environmental stewardship. Wow. I didn't want to distract myself from Valor Atomics, but I cannot distract myself from beauty. This is beauty. This is beauty. This is exactly how you bring together modern elements with Renaissance style art. Engineering organization are a microcosm of El Segundo spirit. We iterate quickly to solve the most important problem of our age. Join us. Look at this. Crazy. Crazy. Okay. Let me go about section. Okay. Our mission. Dwindling freshwater resources are now rendering many of the Earth's ecosystem and population centers uninhabitable. Efficiency and conservation are important, but degrowth risks catastrophic instability. Only by actively creating abundant fresh water can we secure a flourishing ecosystem and human civilization. Many people are it makes sense. Many companies, many startups, early startups at least, don't try to go for such a crazy highly designed website because you know things are going to change really fast, and you need a certain type of confidence to be able to invest in this kind of design. Wow, what a photo. What a photo. So aesthetic. Everything is so aesthetic. American technology, again, the United States invented and pioneered precipitation enhancement in the mid 20th century, but the same national lethargy that smothered space and nuclear progress also neglected precipitation enhancement. Today, China is the global leader in the field. Rainmaker brings the frontier of precipitation enhancement capabilities back home. Faith and stewardship. Look at this. Based in El Segundo, spiritual epicenter of the American deep tech renaissance, the companies here are solving substantive problems with physical technology. We are part of a storied community of engineers and technologists who advance the endless frontier. Who advance the endless frontier. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. We're back. We're back to Whaler. There was a good, what do we say? Digressing. Digressing. Okay, we were looking into Isaiah. Okay, perfect. Let's go. Instead of building one massive nuclear plant, we want to build a lot of smaller plants. Found Whaler Atomics. Talk about the next generation of nuclear reactors. This allows for better physical security around the site as well. Ah, El Segundo. So this is they're talking about Gundo. Say what you will about Gundo. Too loud on X, over the top patriotism, frat bro vibe, etc. The work ethic of founders and early employees here is genuinely insane. People are actually leaving everything on the field. There's a wartime spirit here that I haven't found anywhere else. The early days of Silicon Valley were like that. Defense contractors working hard for their country and families, not wealth. That came much later. Illustrious comparison. You gotta come back to the Gundo. 2 miles in the Hawthorne counts. Gundo has assembled freak animal monster engineers and scientists that will sooner grind their bones to dust and self-immolate than fail to bring about the sci-fi future we desire. Crazy. One of the greatest decisions I ever made was to come work at Whaler. Haven't seen a collection of humans this industrious with this much agency. If you want to work on the greatest problem humanity has encountered, to make energy too cheap to meter, join Whaler Atomics. Ishan. Reading some of my great grandfather's patents on uranium enrichment again today hit me like a ton of bricks. We were so close. We almost had the atomic age, limitless, abundant energy 60 years ago, and we left it behind. Sometimes I despair of this, then I get building again. What if you were all alone on Earth? What would you do? Look for you. The post in question, by the way. Me waiting for my husband to open and thoughtfully respond to each of the thousands of posts I DM him. The last thing you see before getting abundant clean energy. Oh yeah, this photo is really cool. This photo is, oh, this makes sense. This is the this is the Valar Atomics headquarters we saw. Beautiful, beautiful. Finland competes key trial for the world's first deep biological nuclear waste repository. Okay, let's go back to Valar Atomics. Okay, okay, beautiful website. The new atomic age. Valar Atomics is scaling nuclear energy for heavy industrial power and clean hydrocarbon fuel production. Is there something that we should be looking for? Or is just, so this is actually not the current Earth because it's morning in Vancouver? Okay, okay. Are we moving towards, no, we are not moving towards, okay, there's no significance of this. Or is there? It's just showing how much power we have. It would be cool if we could be like, yeah, before Valar, this much energy. After Valar, it's just shining bright. There's just too many lights because we have abundance of energy. Nuclear needs scale. Since its invention, nuclear has been bespoke, project-based industry constrained by the grid. To realize the promise of the nuclear age, we need to scale beyond the grid. A new model for nuclear. To unlock economies of scale, we are building hundreds of nuclear reactors on Valar Atomics gigasites. We focus on grid and independent products, hydrogen data center power, heavy industrial power, and clean hydrocarbon fuels. Proven technology. Our reactor uses high temperature gas reactor HTGR design principles. This architecture has an unmatched safety profile and proliferation resistance when paired with TRISO fuel. Fuel, TRISO, moderator, graphite, coolant, helium. Oh, this is what we saw. Okay. So you have, so you basically have these hexagon-like things in which you have a bunch of these trees of fuel, and then helium is the coolant that is passed by. Okay. Our high volume grid embedded products create the cash flow to drive manufacturing excellence and operational scale. With scale, nuclear will become the cheapest and most reliable source of energy in the world. Hydrogen, data center power, industrial power, clean fuel. Ward 0. Unlocking abundant energy. Western civilization was built on abundant energy. Coal powered the Industrial Revolution, oil fueled global commerce, and together they build the modern world. Our future, from AI to interplanetary colonization, requires energy at an unprecedented scale and density. This is the dawn of a new atomic age. Comes out of stealth with $19 million and a pilot reactor site. Advanced industry innovator Mark Mitchell joins Valar Atomics as chief nuclear officer. Pre-seed round announcement announcing Valar Atomics. Oh yeah, it's just like 15 months ago. Today I'm excited to unveil Valar Atomics. Valar is my master plan to make energy 10x cheaper in 10 years by pulling oil and gas out of thin air with nuclear fission. This will untether energy from climate and politics, fuel American industry, and unlock a new era of growth. That's a crazy setup. Okay, we got a massive thread over here. This is cool. All of our greatest ambitions, interplanetary life, artificial intelligence, robotics, and biotech need energy that is orders of magnitude cheaper and more abundant than we have now. In 1970, we stopped our century long march of making energy cheaper. I'm here to restart it. Henry Adams curve, actual energy use. Henry Adams curve. Henry Adams curve. All we are missing in Grok right now is just images. Hey, we just need to plant. We need just plant some beautiful images with our search queries. Need energy that is in orders of magnitude cheaper and more abundant than we have now. In 1970, we stopped a century-long march of making energy cheaper. I'm here to restart it. Today, the vast majority of our energy comes from oil and gas. So if you want cheaper energy, the most direct way to get that is to make oil and gas much cheaper. And the cheapest way that I know to get oil and gas is to pull it out of thin air. The atmosphere contains all the ingredients you need to make oil and gas. There are actually only two, hydrogen and carbon. But you need a cheap power source to extract these elements and make them into oil and gas. The power source is nuclear fission. It's actually so crazy, right? Like you take water, you take this invisible gas around us, you do some sort of nuclear fission, you do some sort of reaction, and comes out this gold looking liquid that you can put into your car, and your car actually starts running. That is interesting. I'm actually curious, like what has Elon let's see if we have something. What has Elon said about the vision of Valar atomics? No direct publicly documented statement specifically addressing Valar atomics or its vision. Vocal about nuclear energy in general, but nothing ties his comments explicitly to Valar atomics, the company founded by S.A.R. Taylor. Broader stance on nuclear energy, however, provides some context that could align with Whaler's goals. He's consistently advocated for nuclear fission as a safe, practical energy source, often pushing back against its stigma. For instance, in 22 interview with Business Insider, he called shutting down nuclear plants total madness, emphasizing their safety in areas without natural disaster risk and their utility as a bridge until renewables like solar and battery scale up. He's also said in 2021 CNBC appearance, I really think it's possible to make very extremely safe nuclear fission, a sentiment that echoes Whaler's focus on safe, scalable SMRs using TRISO fuel. Whaler Atomics' vision to mass produce reactors for gigasites targeting industrial power and carbon neutral fuels might resonate with Musk's problem solving ethos seen in SpaceX's cost cutting approach to spaceflight. Isaiah Taylor himself has drawn this parallel, telling mass produced reactors for gigasites targeting industrial power and carbon neutral fuels might resonate with Musk's problem solving ethos seen in SpaceX's cost cutting approach. He wants to do for nuclear energy what Musk did for space travel, make it cheaper and more accessible through scale and innovation. No admiration for bold engineering solutions could imply he would support such a mission, but he hasn't named Whaler directly. Nuclear is critical for national security, dismissing radiation fears as overblown, yet a search of his post up to now shows no mention of Whaler atomics. Okay, got it, let's go back. The atmosphere contains all the ingredients, okay? That power source is nuclear fission. This also happens to solve the oldest problem with nuclear energy. Nuclear has a distribution problem since the product is electricity. Grid power fission reactors must be installed near the end user. And proximity to civilians means reactors are overregulated and expensive. But since oil and gas can be piped, trucked, and shipped anywhere in the world, synthesizing hydrocarbons as the medium of energy allows us to place reactors at a distance. It's actually very interesting. Like the vision that they are saying like, okay, it makes sense that humans wanted some sort of energy. They dug deep into the earth. They brought this thing called oil. And now that we have already used so much oil, and we have already exhausted all that oil, when I say exhausted, it means we have already emitted all that oil into our atmosphere. That oil is already present over here. So now instead of digging more oil, which obviously is going to be over very soon, what we should instead do is start converting the same oil that we emitted into the atmosphere because it's logged in into our atmosphere. Start pulling it back, start making it into oil again, and let's make this into a cycle now. Hmm. So interesting. So interesting. Okay. But since oil and gas can be piped, trucked, and shipped anywhere in the world, synthesizing hydrocarbons as the medium of energy allows us to place reactors at a distance. Placing them away from civilians allows us to build reactors cheaply, unlocking their true economics. But wait, aren't oil and gas bad? No, they're incredible hydrocarbons. They're incredible. Hydrocarbons are the best way that we have to transport energy through space and time anywhere in the world that they are needed. Transport energy through space and time. Energy density of fuels, batteries, diesel, gasoline, ethanol. The only real problem with hydrocarbons is that before Whaler, they have always been linked with unintentional geoengineering, releasing CO2 into the atmosphere and international politics. Whaler fixes both problems. Since their only inputs are air and uranium, our units can be deployed anywhere in the world. And of course, since we make gas from CO2, we have turned hydrocarbons into carbon neutral fuel. My answer to Thiel's famous contrarian question, what's important truth do most people disagree with you on, is this: hydrocarbons are not going anywhere. Instead, I believe they are going to come from somewhere else. Instead of the ground, we'll get them from the air. Why do I care about this? Because I believe that God created the world to be abundant. Because cheap energy is the best lever I have to unleash the inflection of technological blessings which have been held back from us since 70s, and because it's in my blood. Growing up and hearing stories of my great grandfather's contributions as a physicist on the Manhattan Project gave me an obsession with energy and a deep frustration with what nuclear could have been. This is really cool. Growing up and hearing stories of my great grandfather's contributions as a physicist on the Manhattan Project gave me an obsession with energy and a deep frustration with what nuclear could have been. But after years of research, I found a way to unlock the rocks and give the USA the benefits of nuclear power while at the same time building $1 trillion energy company. Yeah, he just randomly says that. Yeah, we're gonna make trillions of dollars. Are you deeply contrarian investor or a 0.001% engineer? Come work with me. This is the beginning of a decades long challenge. Whaler is your chance to be part of the inflection and to birth the dawn of atomic age. If he gets if he can get nuclear cheap enough, he will need to buy a lot of terraformers, of course. I hear those terraformers do it the best. If he can get nuclear cheap enough, he will need to buy a lot of terraformers, of course. Physicist, immigrant, pilot, dad, former Caltech, Hyperloop, NASA, JPL, founder, Terraform. Oh, so Terraform is his company. Okay. If he can get nuclear cheap enough, he will need to buy a lot of terraformers, of course. I hear the terraformers do it the best. Okay, so what is Terraform? Terraform Industries. We make cheap natural gas from sunlight and air. We make cheap natural gas from sunlight and air. Okay, so this is pretty much the same thing. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, we recently raised 15 million. produce cheap natural gas with sunlight and air. We are committed to cutting the net CO2 flux from crust to atmosphere as quickly as possible. As solar power gets cheaper, there will come a time when it is cheaper to get carbon from the atmosphere than an oil will. The time is now. Wow, really good. A lot of interesting work being done. Somebody wants to make it from sunlight. Somebody wants to make it from CO2 and nuclear fission. Really cool. Really cool. Okay, where are we at? We're here. All right. What is the Henry Adams curve? It seems there might be some confusion in your question. Did you mean the Henry Adams curve or something similar like Adams curve? Education essay suggests the tendency of history and later American teachers propose a theory about the acceleration of human progress driven by technological and energy advancements. He didn't explicitly define a Henry Adams curve in the modern mathematical sense, but his ideas have been interpreted and graphed by later thinkers as an exponential curve representing the rate of change in history, particularly tied to energy consumption and technological complexity. Adams suggested that human civilization's development follows a pattern where the force or energy harnessed by society, starting with muscle power, then steam, electricity, and eventually nuclear energy, grows exponentially over time. He famously speculated in his law of acceleration that the pace of change doubles roughly every few centuries or decades, depending on the era. For example, he observed that between the 13th and the 19th century, the shift from religious to mechanical energy marked a massive leap, and by 20th century, the dynamo symbolized an even steeper increase in capability. He predicted this acceleration would continue until it hit a critical limit, possibly leading to collapse or a new phase of history. Like those from futurists or economists sometimes visualize this as an exponential curve, time on the x-axis and some measure of progress, energy use, technological output, societal complexity on the y-axis. He was a pessimistic. He feared humanity couldn't control this runway growth, writing about a catastrophe for forces as early as 1910 when he speculated the discovery of radium hinted at untapped powers that might outstrip human governance. Resonates with their mission. Nuclear fission represents the next leap on this exponential trajectory, unlocking energy densities millions of times greater than fossil fuels. Valar's focus on synthetic hydrocarbons could be seen as a practical step on Adams' imagined path, harnessing a new force to reshape civilization, though Adams might have warned of the risk of such power scaling too fast and for society to adapt. Really cool. Hey, congrats, Isaiah. I think he got a really good story around him. He's in the right place. This great grandfather story is pretty cool. Let's actually search. Who? Nuclear physicists who worked on the Manhattan Project, World War II era program. Ward Sharp in public statements. He credits hearing stories from Sharp's contributions as a key influence on his own obsession with energy and nuclear innovation. It's known he was involved in the pioneering nuclear research at Los Alamos or a related site in the 1940s. Taylor has said Sharp was a top nuclear scientist on the project, suggesting he played a significant role. The exact details, like whether he worked on nuclear reactor design, bomb assembly, or theoretical physics, aren't widely specified in available sources. Motivator for Valar Atomic's mission to revolutionize nuclear energy. Ward 0 is a prototype, and Ward 1 is the first nuclear reactor.